There is a difference between showing a screen and presenting a product. Most designers stop at the UI screen. They design a dashboard, export it, place it in a post, and expect people to understand the value. But the problem is, people do not stop scrolling just because your interface is clean. They stop scrolling when the presentations gives them a reason to care. So in this episode, we are going to take one product screen and turn it into a polished social carousel using Adobe Express. Not just to make it look nice, but to create a story around the product. Before we get into the episode, thank you to Adobe for sponsoring this video. In this series, I'm using Adobe Firefly and Adobe Express to show how designers can turn product screens into launch-ready visual content. In the first episode, we defined the product personality. In the second episode, we built the visual direction using Adobe Firefly. And in the third episode, we created a reusable asset library. Now, in this episode, we will take those assets into Adobe Express and turn one FlowPilot product feature into polished carousel. The goal is to create a piece of content that feels clear, branded, useful, and ready to post on social. A product screen alone gives people visual information, but a carousel gives people context. A screen says, here is the dashboard. A carousel says, here is the problem this product solves. Here is who it helps. Here is how the feature works. Here is the outcome users get. And that particular difference matters. Basically, a product screen is just a screen, and carousel tells a story around that screen. And that difference matters because when people see your designs online, they are not studying every pixel. They are quickly asking, what is this? Why should I care about this product? What problem it solves? Is this useful? Is this worth saving or sharing with someone else? A good carousel always answers these questions step by step. So what are we creating in this particular video? For FlowPilot, we will create a simple 7-slide carousel. So slide 1 is hook, slide 2 is the problem that FlowPilot is solving, slide 3 introduces the product promise, slide 4 breaks down the key features, and slide 5 will be about the workflow, slide 6 explains the outcome, and the slide 7 gives the uh, final CTA of that particular carousel. This structure is simple, but it works because it turns a product screen into a story. By creating this carousel, we are not just saying, look at this UI. We are literally saying, here is how this product helps startup teams move from messy ideas to launch ready execution. Now let's open Adobe Express and I'll search carousel. Let's say Instagram carousel. And this will be the size of this Instagram carousel, 1080 pixels and 1350 pixels of height. You can choose any format you want, but I'm choosing the Instagram carousel. So before designing, I want to organize 3 things we created in the previous video. The first thing is product UI screen that you already have about your product, the Firefly background assets we generated, and the graphic elements we created in the asset library. So this is why previous episode was very important. We are not starting now in Adobe Express. We are not starting from the blank page anymore. We already have the visual language ready as a folders. So I've already organized backgrounds, graphic elements, and UI components from the product. But now we have to create the slide wise carousel in Adobe Express. So the first slide is the most important slide because if the cover does not make people stop, they will never see the rest of the carousel. So for FlowPilot, the hook should be turn messy product ideas into launch ready plans. So that will be our hook. We'll be using around that language for each section of the website for any carousels we are designing. This is stronger than something like FlowPilot dashboard UI because because this version communicates the outcome, because this first version communicates an outcome, and the second version, which is FlowPilot dashboard UI, only describes the screen. So on the cover, I'll place the headline large and bold. So let's upload our backgrounds first. I'll just open one of the background we generated using Firefly in the previous video. Let's adjust the size. So our tagline would be turn messy products ideas into launch ready plans. So let's keep it here. Let's edit it. Let's keep source sans and let's keep it black and let's keep it the capital letters and increase the size. So this is actually stronger than saying just ProPilot dashboard UI because that version communicates just the UI screen, but this version communicates the outcome of the product. And let's decrease the letter spacing a little bit and also the line spacing, and let's keep it 80. 80 looks good. And let's upload one of our UI components. Let's upload the dashboard overview. Let's keep it on. Let's move it and let's center align it and increase the spacing. And let's put it like this. And let's add one of the graphic element that communicates the tick mark, something like this. That is like it is launch ready, something like that. It communicates. So the key here is hierarchy. There should be the headline first, and then the product screen, and the supporting visual or supporting graphic. And let's create another slide. Let's create another slide. Create add page, same size, and let's add the same background we have. Let's add the same background we have, and let's duplicate it a couple of times. Let's come to slide 2. So in slide 2, we should explain the problem. So before we show the product solution, we should show the pain. For FlowPilot, the problem is that early stage teams often have ideas, tasks, notes, and launch planes scattered across different tools. So that the slide can say, launch planning gets messy fast, something like that. So let's add the text. Let's just copy this thing from here. So let's say launch, let's say launch planning gets messy. So let's left align it and launch planning gets messy fast. And let's add some of the supporting assets, some of the UI components. So let's add this and this. The problem and the dashboard again. So let's add these both. Add these both. And also let's add some messy graphic element. Let's add some messy graphic element. Increase the size a little bit. Bring it. And let's add some messy graphic we have in our asset library. So this is the one. So this is what the startup messy looks like. Let's bring it forward. So this is what startup messy looks like. By seeing this slide, people should feel like, oh yes, I've experienced this. So that is when they become more open to the product. And in the slide 3, introduce the product promise. So now that the problem is clear, slide 3 introduces the product promise. So the FlowPilot, the promise is simple. FlowPilot brings everything into one launch workspace. This is where we show the product as a solution. So let's add a text first, or else just copy from here. So let's add the tagline as bring everything into one launch workspace. Workspace. So let's decrease this. And for graphic elements, what I'll do is for UI elements basically. So I'll bring all these four and a UI screen. So this is the dashboard, and let's resize these and decrease the dashboard size and place all four pillars of a startup into a track. Let's decrease these UI component sizes a little bit. I've created this entire UI components using Firefly. So I have to give some prompt according to your product. So it will give you beautiful looking UI components like this. So let's add a graphic element as well in this. So let's add this circle. Circle is good, which connects all these three stuff. Okay, it's connecting, and let's add something like this. It's like the full circle of uh, giving the full workspace for startup teams. So the goal here is not explain every feature here. The goal is to create a clear mental model, something like messy planning on slide 2 and organized workspace in slide 3. And that's how carousel and that contrast makes the story easier to understand to the end user. And coming to the slide 4. So slide 4 is where we start breaking down the product instead of showing the entire dashboard and expecting people to understand it, which simplify the value into three parts. So let's add a text. So let's say, let's break down the product here. So what FlowPilot helps you organize. So we will add a UI component here. This is what FlowPilot helps you organize. So these are the core areas FlowPilot and helps you organize. So let's add it here. And let's add a normal graphic elements we used in the previous slides. Something like this graphic element. So for FlowPilot, we highlighted three features here. The core areas, and the three core areas are the launch tasks, product areas, and team progress. So each card should have a small icon and graphic element. This is also entirely generated in Firefly. So this is where our asset library becomes useful. We can reuse the same style of icons, cards, soft shadows, and gradient styles to make the slide feel consistent with the entire slides in that particular carousel. So a good carousel does not redesign itself on every side. It repeats the visual patterns we create before the carousel creation. So that repetition makes the design feel professional. On and in the slide 5, uh, I will show a simple three-step workflow. So you will go from messy ideas to organized tasks to launch plans. Uh, so This is where we turn a product into a process. So for FlowPilot, the workflow can be messy ideas or to organize tasks to a launch plan. So I want to communicate something like this in this particular slide 5. So let's add a text from messy ideas to launch plan. Right. So let's increase the size a little bit and add some UI elements. So let's add this, and this. So let's resize it. So this is the launch plan. This is the messy ideas. And this is the organized tasks. So we need to add some arrows. We can pull arrows from the graphic elements from the shapes and arrows. So this is also completely generated in Firefly. So let's use it properly. Messy ideas to organize tasks to a launch plan. So visually we will show from messy ideas to organized tasks to a launch plan. So this is simple. This is a simple slide, but very effective. People understand the products faster when they see the transformation live with clear directions. So we will show the before and after input and output and problem and solution in the very single screen. So that's why I've used the dotted arrows to show the connection between the eight stages of that particular transition. This creates the clear visual journey across the slide. And the slide 6 is about the outcome. So this is where many designers make a mistake. They keep talking about the feature, but users care about the result. So instead of saying task dashboard, AI planner, or project cards, or something like that, we say clear launch priorities, better team alignment, faster execution, less confusion, something like this. So this is what makes the product feel valuable. So let's add a text here, or let's directly copy from here. Move from scattered to organize. And let's add some visuals here, graphic elements, some UI elements. So we will show this what changes and why it works. And we will show what changes in your product. And this is also completely generated from Firefly and imported in Adobe Express. Too scattered, too organized. And it's very important to add a timeline as well in 4 weeks, something like that, so that the user have a goal in 4 weeks. So we should show what outcome you are giving in which particular time. So this becomes the entire story of that particular product. So now comes the hierarchy. So in Adobe Express, hierarchy comes down to a few simple things. So we haven't used the supporting text here, but that is also very important. So make the main headline the biggest element, keep the supporting text smaller, use the contrast to the guide attention, and give the UI enough breathing room. So if you're a UI designer or a product designer, so give the UI screen enough breathing room. Use background assets subtly. So when you see any slide I've used, so the background is not dominating the slide, and avoid placing too many elements on one slide. I've just kept one UI element, one graphic element for that. And if everything is like in any slide, if everything is fighting for attention, the slide becomes hard to understand. So simplify it. So finally, I want to say a good carousel slide should understand in just 3 to 4 seconds. That's it. So whenever a slide feels too crowded, remove something and make it minimal, because clarity always wins. Once carousel is completed, recheck all the slides and ask yourself these questions. Do these slides feel like from the one system? Are the colors consistent? Are the backgrounds connected? Is the typography consistent? Are the icons and the graphic elements from the same visual world? Does every slide support the same product story? This is the difference between a random carousel and a launch ready carousel. A launch ready carousel feels intentional from the first slide to the last slide, but random carousels feels disconnect. Now we have completed the carousel for FlowPilot. We started with the UI screen, then we added story. We used Firefly asset library for backgrounds, textures, and graphic elements. We structured the message inside the Adobe Express, and we turned the product screen into polished piece of launch ready content. So you can directly post this carousel in Instagram. So this is exactly how designers can make their work feel more valuable online, in portfolios and client presentations, or anywhere you present something your work. This should be your standard of presentations. So you should present not only just showing the screens, but also by showing better context around the screen. So now your assignment for this episode is to create a 7 slide or 6 slide carousel, or 8 slide and 10 slide, that is your wish, carousels using Adobe Express. Take one product screen and build a story around it. Create one hook slide, one problem slide, one product promise slide, one feature breakdown slide, 1 to 2 workflow slides, 1 to 2 outcome slide, and final CTA slide. And use Firefly as and use Firefly assets you created in episode 3. And remember, the goal is not to make the screen look beautiful. The goal is to make the product easier to understand to the end user. So that is how we turn a product screen into a polished carousel using Adobe Express. In the next episode, we will extend these same visual system into launch posters and announcement assets. So we will take the same product, same assets, and same story direction and turn them into multiple branded creatives per product launch. So that is it for this episode. Do subscribe and see you in the next one.